You have questions?
What is slashing?
We have answers.
Slashing is, like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And, there's a penalty for that?
Yeah. You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
This is CBJ in 30.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey? Here we go.
Tweet your questions by using the hashtag CBJIN30.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's your host, Bob McGilligan.
And welcome to another morning skate edition of CBJ in 30. Here on this second day of April, the Blue Jackets getting set to take on the New York Islanders tonight here at Nationwide Arena. It'll be the third meeting of the year between these two teams. And the Blue Jackets are looking for a win. And this Islanders team has given them fits throughout the year. And even last year, I remember going into the Nassau Coliseum and coming out when the Blue Jackets needed 2 big points. And they didn't get the big points. They got a big goose egg because the Islanders played them well. So this will be an intriguing matchup tonight for the Blue Jackets. No question about that. The Islanders just hitting the ice for the pregame morning skate behind me right now. And one of the questions for them is, will they have Frans Nielsen in their lineup? Nielsen left practice the other day. In the middle of practice, he's been nursing an injury. They've been kind of, treating him with kid gloves lately. They want to have him healthy for the playoffs. He did leave in the middle of a practice, so we'll wait and see if he's going to play tonight or not play tonight. That would be a plus for the Blue Jackets if he doesn't play. I mean, he's one of their better players. Nielsen comes in with 42 points on the year. So he's one of those guys that they have that is very tough to deal with. If he were not in there, you wouldn't see me shedding a tear here tonight. For the Blue Jackets, they're going to make one change to their lineup, at least one change to their lineup from Tuesday night's win over the New Jersey Devils. Let's start on defense. There might be a change there later tonight. Jack Johnson came in ill today. They sent him home. If he's ready to play tonight, he'll play. It's my opinion that you're going to have a hard time keeping Jack Johnson out of the lineup. But in the unlikely event that he cannot play, then Justin Falk would go into the lineup to take his place. But again, knowing the competitor that Jack Johnson is, I would expect him to play in tonight's game. One guy that will not play tonight is Marco Dano. He is going to be a healthy scratch as Jared Boll comes back into the lineup tonight. Boll will go back into his spot on the right wing of the fourth line, and in the place of Dano, Jeremy Morin is going to move up from the fourth line and play on the third line. Now, I have already looked at Twitter today. I can already see that there are a lot of people that aren't happy about this move. And a lot of people questioning a lot of things, and all of a sudden, you should fire people and do this and do that. Listen, calm down. Calm down. If you think about it, this is a logical move, to be completely honest with you. And in the last 2 games, if you watch Marco Dano's play, he was playing great. He was playing fantastic. He's a 20-year-old kid. There are going to be peaks and there are going to be valleys. In the last couple of games have been valleys for him. In the St. Louis game, he struggled. As a matter of fact, at one point during that game, he got moved to the fourth line, and Morin went up to the third line to try to get him going again. And then the other night against the Devils, adequate, but not fantastic. So it does not hurt to scratch him for tonight's game and have him sit in the press box and watch the game. It doesn't hurt at all. And it does send a message. The message is, you haven't earned anything yet. You have got to play at a certain level, day in and day out, or you're not going to play. And there is absolutely, positively nothing wrong with that. Now, if you think that, they do that to the young guys, there's some of the older guys that probably should be held to the same standard, I would tell you, yeah, in some cases you're right. No doubt about that. But the thing is, the veteran guys have earned that right throughout their time in the league or with this team in particular. And because of history and things they've done in the past, it actually comes into play for them in the future. When you're a young guy and you don't have much history, then you're playing in the present at all times. And for Marco Dano, the present is he has struggled the last 2 games. So he will come out of the lineup tonight. And it is not the end of the world. It is not a reason to panic, to blow up. It's, this is a team, let's put it into perspective right here. This is a team not going to the playoffs. It's a team that wants to continue a 7-game winning streak and turn it into 8 tonight. Yes, absolutely. It is the team playing the best. It's the hottest team in the NHL right now. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you have to let guys play through things. If you feel that taking them out for a day is going to have a bigger impact, then you take them out for a day. Really. So, again, I know there's a lot of concern about this, and a lot of people are unhappy about this and all that stuff. I get it. But it is not the end of the world. And it's not a bad move. It's really not a bad move. It's not about today. And it's not about Saturday. It's about Marco Dano realizing the level he has to play in and day out. Getting to that level, staying at that level, and then playing all the time. So it's, again, you're upset. Some of you are upset anyway. But it's like, just take a breath. Take a breath. If he was doing his job better in the last 2 games, he'd be playing today. He wasn't. There's another guy to go in. And what is wrong with creating that sense of competition? And your choice is to put somebody in, or Corey Tropp and Jared Boll. And Corey Tropp's been playing on the left side. Well, Matt Calvert's playing over there. So put Jared Boll back in. I did tell you the other day that this Islanders team plays a chippy game, so you might want to have that guy in the lineup. And I know I said yesterday I wouldn't have changed the lineup, and I wouldn't have, but I'm not the coach. And I'm not going back on what I said, because if I was the coach, I'd probably let him play through it. But I'm not the coach, and I'm not questioning the coach. There's a reason he's the coach, and I'm doing this. He's got a lot more experience at this, and I understand the reasoning for it. No doubt. So put Jared Boll back in. You have a physical presence, and you've got him playing with Matt Calvert. I talked to Jared just a little bit ago, and he told me he loves playing with Matt Calvert. He said, give him the puck and let him use his speed. And I go to the front of the net. Simple. Really simple. And Mark Letestu being in the middle, he's going to get Matt Calvert the puck. You know it's going to be Letestu and Calvert that have the puck on that line most of the time. So Morin has got to pick up his game to play on that line with Hartnell and Wenberg for sure. No doubt. But if he didn't have that ability, he wouldn't be there. He does have the ability. They'll put him in there today. He's another one of those guys you're still evaluating. With all these forwards, and what are you going to do in the summertime, and who's going to be able to earn a spot next year and who's not going to be able to earn a spot next year, is it a bad thing to put Jeremy Morin in this role for a game and see what he does with it? Because, he's missed a lot of time. Missed a lot of time because of that accelerated heartbeat. He wants a chance. He wants a chance to show the organization he belongs here. They traded to get him. But he still has to show that he belongs. So, should he not be afforded that opportunity? If somebody else is not playing up to the standards they need to be, does he not deserve that opportunity to step in and see if he can do it for a day or more? Of course he does. No doubt. And again, it's a big picture thing. If Marco Dano sits out today and comes back and plays like a monster against Pittsburgh on Saturday, then you'll have to go back and say, you have to retrace your steps. If you're complaining about this today, you have to go back and say, hey, guess what? That was a good move. And if he doesn't play a better game against Pittsburgh than he played against St. Louis and against New Jersey, then that's a problem. Not for me or you, but for him. And that's the message. That's the message. But to me, having Marco Dano in the lineup or out of the lineup today does not jeopardize your chance to win 8 straight games. And I don't mean that as a knock on Marco. When he's playing his best, that's one thing. But he has not the last couple of games. Let him sit and watch. Sometimes that perspective does wonders, especially as a young guy. Like a child. You have to correct him early. And if you don't, he's going to keep making the same mistakes. So get it corrected. Not that big a deal. Really, it's not. It's a big deal for him, and it should be a big deal for him, and he should be chomping at the bit to get back into the lineup on Saturday afternoon. But for today, it's Jeremy Morin's job. He's going to go out there and try to impress his coach, his teammates, the management, and you. That's what he's going to try to do tonight. Simple as that. And for Jared Bull, coming back after a 3-game suspension, he's got to make sure that his game is where it needs to be tonight. He, too, has to pick it up. He, too, has to be ready to play a game against a fast team here tonight. He, too, has got to be ready to play a rough game. And if he's not, and if he doesn't play well tonight, there's somebody to come back into the lineup on Saturday. Again, the beauty of competition. If you're not ready, somebody's waiting. Simple as that. That's the message. That's the way it is. And that's the way it's got to go. Now, the Blue Jackets need to get a good start against this team tonight. They have not done that this year. They have waded into games instead of diving in head first. They can't do that tonight. The New York Islanders have a lot to play for here tonight. A lot to play for. They've got 95 points. That has them tied with the Penguins. They have a chance to pull ahead of Pittsburgh if they can get a win tonight. Even more importantly than that, they have a chance to pull further away from Washington, who has a wild card spot and covets one of those 2 guaranteed playoff spots in the Metropolitan Division. Washington wants it. Washington's charging. Islanders, they need to start charging again. You know what they're really benefiting from? They're benefiting from a great start to the season. And if you can get off to a very good start, and if you can build a lead early, then you can falter at times during the year, and everybody's going to. There's no question about it. Everybody is going to falter at some point during the season. So when you falter, if you have the points accumulated, then it's not so bad, right? They started off with 4 straight wins. In fact, they won 6 out of their first 8 and started banking points right there. Then they went on a 5-game winning streak. You know, they're riding that. But right now, they've been struggling. If you look back, they lost 4 in a row, then they won 1. So they won 1 out of 5. Then they lost in overtime. Then 2 straight losses before a win against the Red Wings last time out. So they're sputtering right now. They had 6 losses, 1 overtime loss, and 2 wins in their last 9. It's not good. It's not the way you want to go into the playoffs. And they've got this game tonight. Then they're at home against Buffalo. Then they go to Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. And then they play the Blue Jackets at home in the last game of the regular season. This is an important game for this team. Really important game for them. They're trying to find their identity again. They had it. They've obviously kind of lost it. And they're looking to get it back. And when you look at the games that they're losing, now they lost a couple of them 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. Well, they're not giving up a lot of goals per se, but they're not winning the games. So this game is huge for them tonight. Guys you have to watch out for tonight, John Tavares is at the top of the list. 77 points for him. That has him in a 3-way tie for second place in the league with Alex Ovechkin and Jake Voracek. 3 points behind the league leader in points, Sidney Crosby, who will be here on Saturday. Well, supposed to be. Supposed to be. Never know. Those guys, seems like the guys on that team get hurt every other day. But anyway, you got Tavares you've got to watch for tonight. He is so dangerous. He had 4 points last time these two teams played. So did Anders Lee, a rookie. And what a season that he is having. Anders Lee comes into this one tonight with plenty of points. I'll tell you that. 39 points, 23 goals, 16 assists on the year. He's a plus 10. So that means he's playing a good two-way game. You better watch out for him. He had 4 assists when these two teams met on the island last time. Then you've got Ryan Strome, another good young player. Not only is he second in points on this team with 48, but he's a plus 20. Plus 20. It's a good, solid season put together by that young man. And how about the defense? The 2 acquisitions made during the preseason. Nick Leddy and Johnny Boychuk both getting signed. No, or they both got traded there. Then they both got signed a couple of weeks ago. So they're going to be around for a long time. Those two guys have been the biggest difference makers for the New York Islanders, without question. As soon as they got there, the blue line play changed. Johnny Boychuk gives them that offensive punch from the blue line. That was a trade the Boston Bruins are looking at and saying, ugh. Imagine if those two meet in the playoffs, the Islanders and the Bruins, and Johnny Boychuk is an instrumental part in winning a series. It could happen. So those were two big deals made during the preseason by Garth Snow, and they both paid off dividends big time. Yaroslav Halak, their goaltender, it's 36-16-2. He's gone through fits at some point with the other teams that he's played with, and when I say fits, I mean some down times. Is he a good enough goaltender to get them where they want to go in the playoffs? I don't know. We're going to find out soon, but I don't know. But for the Blue Jackets, we need to get a lot of shots on this guy tonight. A lot of traffic, a lot of shots. Simple as that. Sergei Bobrovsky will start for the Blue Jackets tonight. No surprise there. He's been great. He's been fantastic. He's kept his team in the game every game that they've played, especially during the 7-game winning streak. He is a big factor for a lot of the games that have been won in this streak, no doubt. So he's got to be good tonight. He's got to be on top of his game. The Blue Jackets have to go with that balanced scoring attack. They've got to be ready to skate tonight. This team can be quick. They can transition very fast. You've got to be ready. You've got to possess the puck. Don't give them the puck, and then they can't transition. Keep the puck on your stick. Don't give it away. And defend your home ice. Like physically defend your home ice. Make them pay every time they touch the puck. Now, they are quick, and you have to watch you don't get out of position. I understand all of that. But when given the opportunity, finish the check. Finish the good legal check and punish them. Those will be the keys to getting it done tonight for the Blue Jackets. Sounds simple, right? I can make it. Hey, listen, I can make anything sound simple. Trust me. But I don't have to go do it. They've got to go do it, not me. So we'll see what they go do and how they do it coming up a little bit later on tonight. And as I said, it should be pretty interesting, as a matter of fact. See what happened last night in the league. Here's one thing that happened. The Penguins can't beat the Flyers. They just can't. I don't know why they can't, but they can't. Well, I know why they can't right now. I still think they're a mess. I still think there's something really wrong with the innards of that team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lost last night at home to the Flyers. 4-1 was the final in that game. What a battle between Buffalo and Toronto. I mean, an epic battle of two teams going nowhere fast. Actually, Buffalo's going somewhere fast. They're going toward the draft lottery where they hope they get the number 1 overall pick. But the Leafs are hoping they win that lottery too. You imagine if they win the... No, I don't even want to think about it. 4-3 Buffalo beat the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. The Anaheim Ducks had no problem with the Edmonton Oilers. 5-1 was the final there. Same was true in San Jose, where the Sharks just pounded the Colorado Avalanche. So those were the only games that were played last night. Let's take a look at the standings today. We'll start in the Metropolitan Division, where the Rangers have 103 points. They've got a comfortable 8-point lead over Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. But as I told you, right now the Islanders are sitting ahead of Pittsburgh in the tiebreaker after Pittsburgh lost that game last night. They have played the same number of games. They each have 5 games left. Also, the Washington Capitals have 5 games left. They are 1 point behind the Islanders and the Penguins. So it's tight. It's really tight in the Metropolitan Division. Capitals right now in the wild card spot. Let's see. Atlantic Division. Montreal has 102 points. Tampa has 101. Detroit has 93. The Boston Bruins have the second wild card spot right now, and they are only 2 points behind the Detroit Red Wings for a guaranteed playoff spot. The only other team in the East with a legitimate shot, the Ottawa Senators, who have 88 points. They have a game in hand on the Boston Bruins. But a game, even if they win that game, that only gives them 2. It doesn't give them 3. So they've got their work cut out for them with the 6 games that they have remaining. Over in the Western Conference, the Anaheim Ducks, they are headed toward the President's Trophy right now. They have 107 points. Is that a blessing or a curse? How many times do you see the team that wins in the regular season not win in the playoffs? You see it a lot. And with the Anaheim Ducks, I don't know if they've got the goaltending in Frederik Andersen and John Gibson to get them all the way to the Stanley Cup. I'm not sure that they do. And Andersen spent a lot of the year hurt. I get it. But I'm just, that is one position on that team that makes me go, oh, I don't know. Now, throughout the course of 82 games, it's one thing. When you get into a tight 7-game series against the same opponent, I don't know. I don't know if they've got what it takes there. I guess we're going to find out in a couple of weeks. But right now, the Ducks with a 4-point lead as they try to win the President's Trophy. In their division, they've got a big lead, a 12-point lead over Vancouver. And Calgary is sitting there with 91 points, 4 points behind Vancouver. Vancouver's really made the most out of their road trip so far. I told you, with games, St. Louis, Nashville, Chicago, Winnipeg, I said that would make or break their season. It's making it right now. They're 2-0. They're halfway there, living on a prayer. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. You got it. In the Central Division, Nashville, 103 points. But St. Louis has 2 games in hand, and they've got 99 points. That'll be interesting. Chicago also has 2 games in hand. They have 98 points. So nothing is certain there. Nashville's on top for the moment. But how long will the moment last? That's going to be the question there. Wild card teams, Minnesota, they've got 95 points. And Winnipeg has 90 points. Knocking on the door are the LA Kings with 88 points. And guess what? I still don't think this happens. But the San Jose Sharks have 85 points. Now, they are 6 behind Calgary. They are 5 behind Winnipeg. Could they pull a rabbit out of a hat and wind up in the playoffs? I don't think so. But they are very quickly coming back into the conversation. So I guess kudos to them. Maybe as soon as they felt the pressure was off, they started to get back to playing their game again. Other games tonight, Washington is at Montreal. Ottawa hosts Tampa Bay. Tampa's coming off a loss last time out. They'll be hungry, but they're on the road. Detroit plays against Boston tonight. That's in Detroit. Carolina is at Florida. Calgary plays in St. Louis. The Rangers are in Minnesota tonight. Vancouver is at Chicago. And the LA Kings play host to the Edmonton Oilers. So those are some interesting games. And if they all play out the way they should play out on paper, standings will look even more interesting tomorrow than they do today. Let's find out what you have for me today on Twitter at BobbyMacSports. And let's get right to it. Teresa Ringel says, Dano, 3 question marks, 5 exclamation points. Wow. I told you what I think about that and why I feel that Marco Dano is out tonight and Jeremy Morin is in. Frederick Cairo II says, do you think the Blue Jackets-Penguins rivalry will become big enough for a Wednesday night rivalry game? Yes, I do. Will it be next year? I don't know. With the Blue Jackets falling out of the playoff race this year, I don't know how that will affect something like that and affect your national television games. But, yeah, I think so. I absolutely do think so. I mean, just go back to the game in Pittsburgh that the Blue Jackets won 2-1 on Dubinsky's late goal in the 3rd period. There's a rivalry there. I believe you would classify it as a budding rivalry. A budding rivalry between 2 sports. Not 2 sports, that's not right. Two I can't even say 2 fellows because we're talking about teams. 2 groups of fellows. There we go. How about that? Sam Ford says, coming off last season, a lot of us thought this was, quote-unquote, the year. What can we look for? What can we look at and hope for next year? Hope for health. Maybe that should be the off-season slogan. Blue Jackets, hope for health. It's the only thing that really derailed this season. Again, an excuse? No. A reality. A reality for this team. Injuries are not an excuse. Everybody has them. You got to play through them. But How many teams can suffer so many major injuries to some of their top players? Not many. Certainly not this one. This one is too much in its infancy. And if you say to me, infancy, it's been 14 years. How can there be an infancy? Well, I'll tell you how. Because it's a new day. You know, it's a fresh start. It's a start over for this franchise since John Davidson came here. So that's where I'll base it on. That's the infancy of it. You've got to build through the draft. You've got to have players in your minor league system that are forced to wait, that don't just get shoved into the lineup. They're forced to develop and wait. And if you do that, when they get here, they're going to be so much better. They're going to be appreciative of what they have. They're going to know the work they had to put in to get to where they are. And they will have played your system in the minors for a season or two. They'll just be more ready. So when I say the infancy, that's what I'm talking about. Right there, building that whole culture. That's what this franchise is in the process of doing right now. Building the culture. Changing the culture and building. So that's where we're at right now. Let me look at this and see how many other people are. See if people are still up in arms about Marco Dano. Yeah, there's some still some out there. Still some out there. Anyway, if the Blue Jackets win the game, what are you going to say tomorrow? To me, the best thing, there are two things that could happen tonight that would be the best things. Number one, the Blue Jackets win. Number two, Jeremy Morin scores a goal. That'd be great. I mean, can you imagine me on this show tomorrow if that happens? Can you imagine that? Oh, my chest puffed out like a, you know. Not that I would brag and say I told you so or anything like that. I mean, that's not really my way of doing things. Oh, yes, it is. Again, don't panic. Take a breath. Breathe out. It's all fine. Blue Jackets and the Islanders tonight. Blue Jackets looking for a victory. That's what it's all about, really, right? Looking for a victory. Looking for a victory. See if the Blue Jackets can continue what they've got going right now. And it's a good thing. It's a fun time. And they like it just the way it is. And their entire goal is to keep the attitude and the atmosphere just like it is. By the end of the night, to be having the same conversations they had during the morning skate. The New York Islanders are going to try to make that tough on them. The New York Islanders are desperate. But the Blue Jackets have faced some desperate teams in this stretch. A desperate Vancouver team, a desperate Calgary team. Anaheim, they weren't desperate in the way of needing points, but they had just gotten pounded by the New York Rangers, and they wanted to get back to their game. They didn't do it. Chicago was desperately trying to stay in front of Minnesota, which they didn't do. Minnesota caught them, and then they went back ahead. But anyway, St. Louis was, very much looking to get 2 points to keep pace with Nashville. Wanted to get revenge for giving up 7 to the Blue Jackets the last time they played. That didn't happen. The New Jersey Devils, I don't know if you can ever say they're desperate because of the way they play, they never look desperate. But did they want the points? Sure, they wanted the points. They want to finish proud. They didn't win. So it's a desperate team tonight that they'll face. Well, it should be at this time of the year. If I were the New York Islanders and I was struggling recently and the playoffs were coming up and I could either be in second place or in a wild card spot, I'd be desperate tonight. Why wouldn't I? I'd be really desperate tonight. The Blue Jackets have got to be ready for them to play that game. They've got to be ready at the beginning. Not halfway through the first, not at the start of the second. Right away. Right now. At the beginning. Don't let them take your home ice advantage from you. Do not. Be ready to play and play hard tonight because that's going to be the first key to getting the victory this evening. Puck drops at 7 o'clock tonight here at Nationwide Arena. We'd love to have you come out and join us on a Thursday night, Easter weekend really officially getting underway tomorrow. Come out tonight, 7 o'clock start. If you can't be here, I've got the game for you on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. Jeff Rimmer and Jody Shelley have it on Fox Sports Ohio. Blue Jackets trying to go for 8 straight. We'll do it tonight against the New York Islanders, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.